When working at an alligator park, let's just say there's some occupational hazards. Constantly being around 500-pound carnivorous reptiles was a thrilling opportunity, but was also a ticking time bomb for something to eventually go horribly wrong. Now I know this video title sounds super clickbaity and you might be thinking, okay, sure. Maybe an alligator blinked aggressively at a coworker and this guy scared it away. Surely he's milking the truth here. But no, this is the true story of how I jumped on top of a 7-foot alligator to stop it from death rolling my friend's leg off. But first, let's give some context. I had been interning at this alligator park for a while now. I only had a couple of weeks left in the program. And as with any job, after a while it began to feel repetitive and I was getting complacent. Sure, the first time you flip a burger or play with an alligator in front of a crowd of people is exciting, but after doing it multiple times a day for 3 months, it just feels like another thing to do. When I first started, I was terrified of the alligators and was worried every second I worked with them that I'd get hurt. But as time went on and nothing bad ever happened, I felt invincible. Sure, the alligators looked dangerous, but nothing's really ever gonna happen, right? I mean, I'm the main character and these alligators are nothing more than like giant puppy dogs. But it's when you lose respect for something so dangerous and start to get complacent, that's when mistakes happen.
Alright, now how this alligator park worked, it's not like an alligator farm where we're raising alligators and whatnot. We're actually receiving them from nuisance calls. So essentially when an alligator is like in someone's swimming pool or a public park, somewhere where it shouldn't be, we go out, catch them, and put them in one of these ponds so the public can see them and kind of appreciate alligators. But we're not the only ones who go out and catch alligators. There's other sort of random people around the swamps of Southeast Texas that catch alligators as well, and they drop them off for us. So this story takes place where we received one of those calls. Now me and 2 other interns, Satchel and Grant, are out just kind of chilling at the main office waiting for something to do, and we get a call like, hey, Donnie, Satchel, Grant, we're getting an alligator dropped off about 7 feet long, and you guys go take care of that, release them into the main ponds and whatnot. So we're thinking, you know, we're 3 strapping young lads, I'm sure we can handle this. So we get the call and we head out with our supervisor, Candace, and we go to receive this alligator from these sort of randos that captured it. And we're walking up to go see this thing, and me and Satchel, we're, just talking with Grant, and I look down, and Grant is wearing these boots that are just these massive, ugly rubber green boots, and they are atrocious. Like, you would not see that at Paris Fashion Week. Like, these things are horrid. And so me and Satchel were like throwing digs at him, like, Jesus, bro, you look like Dexter, like an old-timey sailor. Like, what are those boots? And so we're joking around, and eventually we walk up to the truck that has this nuisance alligator in it. Now this was a very sketchy situation. Normally when you catch an alligator, you restrain it with duct tape so it doesn't hurt itself, it holds it really well. But these absolute rednecks pull up with a pickup truck, undo the latch, and this poor alligator is hogtied with like rope. And so it's not very secure, it is very, very mad, and we're thinking, oh gosh, like, what have we gotten ourselves into? So we talk to the guys like, oh, what's the story? How'd you get this alligator? And these people are like, oh, we're out there by the swamp and we see this one protecting her nest and felt, how about we grab her and bring her here? So they grabbed this poor mother alligator protecting her nest, literally possibly the most angry animal on the face of the planet. You take a mother away from her babies and she's obviously gonna want to murder everything in sight. So we're left with this alligator now. And on top of that, not only is it an angry mother who's hogtied, but she's also, one of her eyes is glazed over, so her vision is all out of whack. She's extra sort of twitchy, aggressive. So we grab this alligator out of the truck, kind of man carry it down to this pond and plop it on the ground. Now, Candace is our supervisor. She's been there a while and she's sort of walking us what to do. We know what to do, but she's like in charge of giving directions. So how this went down is that Grant is sitting behind the head of the alligator and keeping it like pinned down. So, we don't have a living battering ram thrashing around. And me, I'm plopped firmly on the alligator's butt, which is an important job because, massive muscular tail, giant legs. If I weren't there, it could just move wherever it wants. So the two of us are sitting on this alligator, and Satchel's out there cutting the ropes, freeing this alligator so we can bring it into the pond. All right, now there's a very specific procedure for releasing an alligator, or else a lot of people are going to get hurt. So what's supposed to happen, ideally, is that our supervisor will say my name, like, all right, Donnie, hop off. I'll hop off the alligator, so it's just Grant pinning down the head, and then she'll call Grant to hop off, and he'll run the hell away. So the alligator's free and free to do its business. But why the person on the head shouldn't get off first is because if he does, I'm just left sitting on the butt of an alligator, and that would be terrible. So essentially, what happened, we're sitting on this alligator, kind of waiting for Candace's call, and we're probably sitting there just silent for like 10 seconds waiting for this call. And Grant, for some reason, decides to stand up and just dip. And so I am sitting on the butt of an alligator, literally not able to do anything. This thing doesn't have any tape on it, 7 feet long. And I'm literally yell, Grant, what the? And as I say that, this alligator swings around, whips its tail, and knocks Grant off his feet. It hit his leg, so he falls to the ground kind of halfway in the water. And the alligator lunges around and grabs his leg. Now, this whole thing, I've never had an experience that lasted that long. Like, my brain was on prey drive so much that every like millisecond felt like forever. I saw the slow motion of this thing just whip around, me just jumping back, getting out of the way because I was freaking terrified, and just latching onto Grant's leg. And so this alligator's like halfway in the water, latched onto Grant's leg, and a wave of just shock hits me. Like, oh my gosh, we've had training on how to deal with like an incident like this, but for it to actually happen, like, it just shook me. But it felt like a long time where I was paused, just mentally not able to do anything. But in reality, it was like a second or two. And I quickly remembered on our first days of training, they tell us, if something happens with an alligator where it bites someone, don't just stand there and be too afraid to do anything. Like, you are in charge of saving that person. You have to hop on that alligator and stop it from death rolling, because when it starts spinning, that's when limbs start coming off. And we heard horror stories about an intern getting bit and others just standing around watching because they were too scared to do anything. So you really kind of have to throw your common sense out of the window. And when you see this terrifying thing in front of you, you have to just man up and kind of hop on top of it and just send it. And so luckily my brain takes hold, like, no, I have to stop this from happening. And I jump on the alligator. Satchel's already on it because he was watching from a distance and could kind of like contain himself. So me and Satchel hop on this alligator as it's death rolling and spinning around. And as I'm sitting there, Satchel yells like, Donnie, get out! And then he turns around and I'm like right there, like, all right, don't underestimate me. I'm in the zone too. So this alligator was spinning around in the water, Grant's boots getting all tightened up and ripped, and we sit on it, stop it from death rolling, and it kind of stops like upside down in the water, which is nice because with a lot of animals, when they're upside down, they're kind of immobile. It's a thing called tonic immobility, so they don't move as much. So we're laying on the alligator, kind of like getting our breath. Grant, he's like a talkative guy. He like makes quits and stuff. But during this, he is dead silent. Not a sound coming out of it. And let me tell you, this guy is white. Like, he is from Wisconsin, like white. But I saw him there, and it was like a ghost. All pigment from his face was just gone, horrified, staring at this alligator latched onto his leg. And I mean, I can't blame him, but oh my God, just the fear in his eyes I'll never forget. So we restrain this alligator. Candace comes over with a knife and starts cutting away the leather of Grant's boot. And the alligator, relinquishes its jaws. And I forget how me and Satchel got off of it, because, I mean, the same thing could have happened, but I'm pretty sure we're just like, all right, run. And we just dip off. The alligator swims off. And I'm glad this whole thing happened quick, because it happened in a pond full of like 400 gigantic alligators that could have screwed us over. So the alligator swims off. She's fine. And Grant's lying there. We're like, oh my God, are you okay, man? And we look at his leg. and this is the luckiest guy on earth. You would think that he brushed up against like a bush. There's just a tiny little mark on his leg. And why that is because of those giant, stupid rubber boots. The alligator latched onto that instead of directly his leg. And when it death rolled, the rubber twisted with the alligator and like spared his leg. But if he were wearing anything else, he would be screwed. And God, my mind was just going a million places. And I looked down at my feet, and I'm wearing flip-flops because, I thought it was like cool and risque to wear flip-flops when working with alligators. But I thought like, oh my gosh, if I were sitting on the head and that happened, like I might not have a leg. So Grant lucked the hell out by wearing those giant tacky boots, because that alligator, it could have really messed him up. So we're all there like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. And the two like hillbillies that dropped off this alligator, they say some condescending thing like, you need to work on your interns there. They're kind of messing up over there. And Candace, our supervisor, was like, no, they did exactly what they needed to do. Because, gosh, in another reality, I wouldn't have been able to hop on that alligator. I would have been too scared. But for the crappy scenario that was, I'm really thankful that I just hopped on, just threw my brain to the wind and was like, no, I need to save my friend. And very happy that that is the best case scenario for an incident like that. No one got hurt except for Grant having like a paper cut on his leg. And right after, I call my mom like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Like, my friend almost died. I was freaking out because, an alligator attacked my friend and I had to stop it. And like, that just, you don't get over that. That is freaky as hell. So I'm calling my mom like, oh my God, like, I've been here for like 3 months now, and I just didn't respect the alligators enough. I just saw them as little playthings, but that just shook me all at once. Like, at any moment, this could just be tragic. So I really came to grips with reality, like, okay, I got to respect these things a lot more. And talked to Grant after. He was like, thank you, man. Like, you literally saved me, you and Satchel. So I'm so thankful that situation ended like how it did, because my God, it could have been horrific. So moral of the story, no matter what foot covering you're wearing and your friends may be roasting you for it, tell them, hey, these boots might look stupid, but they could save my life if a random alligator decided to jump out of a bush and bite me. So I hope you guys like that story. The most terrified I've ever been in a situation. It was just horrific, and I'm glad everyone's okay. So if you liked hearing stories like that, tales from me working with alligators and other animals, be sure to let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you all so much for watching.